and welcome to the MDRN Future Podcast. I'm KL Smith, and this is episode number 4 in the show. Today we're talking about a few different things that came up during the week. Can't hit it all, even though I would love to, but there's a couple heavy hitters that I have to discuss this week. First off is Lucid Motors. New EPA benchmark for at least based on their estimates for an electric vehicle. So super exciting news. We're going to talk about that first. Then we got Tesla stock, 5-for-1 split. Woo! That's next up after the Lucid discussion. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about WeFunder. It's a crowdfunding platform for investors and business owners. Very interesting, came across that. And then also going to talk about Dyson and their air purifiers. Yeah, I know. Modern living. We got to talk about it. So let's hop right in. Let's not waste any time. First up, I want to talk about the Lucid Motors recent, as of Tuesday, benchmark for single charge range. Okay, 517 miles. That's what they have claimed. Can't wait to see it in action if it's true. But this is very significant for several different reasons. First, let me just talk about my own personal attachment to the 500 plus mile range club. Now, I have been advocating for, you actually see me in several different tweets or even on the MDRN Future website, talk about 500 miles as my utopian range when it comes to EVs. I don't know what it is about that number. Maybe it's because it's just halfway to 1,000. Maybe it's just because we've been at 300 for a little while and now I'm ready for the next big leap in 500. I don't know what it is about that number specifically, but I'm super drawn to 500 miles for estimated range. And they, according to their estimates, have done it. And I find this to be super fascinating because first off, their CEO is Peter Rawlinson. Now, if you don't know who Peter Rawlinson is, I'm just going to give a brief intro. He was the vice president of vehicle engineering, I believe, and the chief engineer at Tesla on the Model S. Now that's important because the Model S is currently the benchmark leader when it comes to EV range at 402 miles based on their latest official EPA estimate. So 517 is 115 miles longer than 402, which is pretty significant considering who their CEO is. Now, I think this is absolutely bonkers for the luxury sedan market where you're paying top dollar for vehicles. And, you know, it's not without saying that, like, I don't actually feel like this is going to hurt Tesla too much. There's definitely going to be some folks out of that Model S price range and Model X, maybe even, that get sucked into this just for the range, if they're range junkies and they want to get rid of all that range anxiety and just want a smooth sailing, no hassle drive, which I think could be possible in the Lucid Air. But really, the competition that should be shaking in their boots is Mercedes, Audi, BMW. They really need to be looking at some of these EV makers and saying, well, do we just buy them outright because we're not getting it right or we're taking too long? That's the real question they should be asking themselves, because I feel like Legacy Auto has been way behind the 8 ball, so to speak. And if you look at their current benchmarks, they're all targeting 300 miles. No one is going above and beyond, and this is one of the things that I was irritated about in one of the blogs that I wrote, is like none of traditional auto is like going for a new benchmark. They're all using Tesla's 2012 basically benchmark and range and saying, that's what we got to go for. We're behind. Let's go for 300 miles. And it's like, yo, Lucid just hit 517 and you guys are talking about 300? So I feel like that is where a lot of traditional auto is, and that's where a lot of their current models are pushing. And when I say current, I mean, really, it's like the next 4 years, right? So maybe battery technology gets that much better where it won't matter, and they'll just put in the new battery, and all of a sudden you just get upgraded to 400 miles. That's a plausible, reasonable deduction and reason that you could make for the upcoming vehicles in traditional auto for their cars. So I think that, from a reaction from them, I don't necessarily have a whole lot of confidence, but they're currently targeting 300 miles, and that's where I think they will go. When you look at Tesla, how is Tesla going to react to this? I honestly, I don't know. I mean, really, they've talked about a couple different vehicles that have 500 miles range. The Cybertruck, the Tri-Motor could be over 500. The Roadster, 2020 Roadster, is supposed to be 620 miles of range. And I think, and I can't remember exactly where I remember seeing this, but Elon has discussed 500 miles in a Model S, either by putting more batteries in, stripping some of the things out of the car. But it doesn't seem like it's outside of possibility right now in the current environment for Tesla to make a 500-mile Model S. I think we could likely see something like that with the Plaid motor. And then on top of that, some of the announcements that come out of Battery Day, which is a big event, which a lot of folks are interested in, because I expect we'll see a lot more news on batteries, the performance that Tesla is going to be putting forward, and how this impacts the rest of the EV industry. But Lucid is sitting very pretty right now in that luxury sedan market. I think their entry model that they're shooting for is going to be $60,000, which is not bad. It's not bad at all for a luxury sedan. And then I think it's going to go up into the six figures. And that's where maybe this 517 mile is attached to that. But their low end, 60,000, could possibly be over 400. Who knows? Until we see the real reveal, which I want to say is September 9th. And that's about a week and a half before Battery Day. I think Battery Day is September 17th, if I'm not mistaken, but it could get pushed. I have to look at those dates again, but I know both of them are coming up, and I'm super impressed by Lucid. I just don't know how people are gonna react to the vehicle. It looks super luxurious inside. I think, again, Model S folks might be jumping ship a little bit, but Tesla has a really strong base, and I see them just continuing to dominate that really the entire EV scene, but really that price range, price sensitive market where the Model 3 is sitting at low end. But super good news there. Next up, Tesla stock split, 5-for-1 split. This is absolutely fantastic for people looking to invest into Tesla. If you look at some of the projections from the non-bear folks, right? Some of the folks that they hate the world. But really, they would be like, oh, we're looking at the technicals. They're not making a million. They're not selling 1 million cars, right? All right. So this is where I just, from the opportunity space for what Tesla is going for, there really aren't any other companies that are close, not remotely close when it comes to all of the things that they're doing in one package, right? So let's talk about first the 2020 immediate product lineup and why you should be excited. Let's talk about the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck, I think, will be coming summer 2021. And this is based on what we saw with the Model Y when it was announced. Year to date was about just a year's time. And I want to put this emphasis on a year's time because what I think is going to happen is that they're going to get the Austin, Texas Gigafactory up, the part that does the main car production, the auto assembly line. I think they're going to get that up really quickly, and that is the one that will house the Cybertruck. That's where it's going to be produced. And if you look at the timeline from start to finish, they got that done in basically a year. It's like 168 working days. They're probably going to do the same for Austin Gigafactory, which means that we could see some Cybertrucks being produced rather quickly and in production and out for deliveries around summertime. That's what I think is going to happen. So that's the big one for me. It's like maybe 700 some thousand reservations if you go by people's reservation numbers and where they're at right now. It's looking good. Next up, you got Model Y, right? Europe, China. European Gigafactory, Berlin. High likelihood it'll be done in under a year. And that means the Model Y, which is where that's going to be produced is going to pump out in Europe for the first time in mass quantities. The European market doesn't have a model. They're not shipping them overseas right now. So you can look at the Model Y, entry 2021 in Europe. Also China, right? China is killing it right now. And I think that market only looks to expand as they build out more of that Gigafactory, add the Model Y in there, add some more Model 3 units, add all of the things that they're doing, S, X, all of that out of that factory. And China looks like a really good market as well. Then you got the Tesla Semi, which we could see some production, possibly, maybe in 2021. It'd be late 2021 if that happens. But we could see some Tesla Semi as well. Now, auto aside, because they're not just automotive, here's some interesting news that's been happening very recently. Tesla Energy has been applying to basically be a utility in a lot of different countries. They stepped out of South Korea. They applied for Germany, I believe. They sent out some surveys. In the UK, they're set up. So look, this is I want to say scary. I just would be very concerned as a utility maker and just seeing how the cult of Tesla continues to purchase the product, how they could really be transforming what is going to be happening on that front. It's going to take a little bit longer, but energy is a place that they want to get to very quickly. From a utility standpoint, you look at the power wall, right? You look at the solar roof and just the solar panel in general, the pricing that they have there. And then you look at some of the things that they're doing with like virtual power plants and wanting to do a lot there with like auto bidder and what am I missing here? Oh, the mega packs and things for just bigger facilitation and distribution of energy, right? So mega packs are killing it as well. So when you look at what they're doing there and you tie that into what's happening right now and you look at this stock split, this is a potentially really great time to purchase in before we get into 2021 and people start rolling around and you see Instagrams and just a whole bunch of YouTubers talking about the Cybertruck nonstop. I would buy. I'm already invested, so yes. And then there's one other thing that I think is interesting, and this could be quite funny if this happens. I don't think it'll happen next year, but if this were to happen, HVAC. So Elon has said multiple times that he would love to make an air conditioning unit, heating and air conditioning unit. And I find this to be so hilarious because of the social media around, oh, I got my HVAC unit. I'm sitting so cool and lavishly in my home right now. You should come over and experience this Tesla HVAC unit. Like that's absolutely bonkers. But to think that it would take someone like Tesla to make HVAC cool and battery powered, I don't know. That's just funny to me. And just one more reason for you to be interested in the stock. But this 5-for-1 split is phenomenal. I'm super excited for it. That brings us to WeFunder, which is very similar to like a Kickstarter for business owners looking to raise money for their companies. Now, the reason I like this over Kickstarter or some of the other places like Lending Club, some peer-to-peer places, is just the familiarity I have with Kickstarter. But it takes away the things that I don't like about Kickstarter and gives me more equity, not just in the product, but actually in the company, which I find super fascinating. I don't have a whole lot of high expectations for getting a big time return on investment here, but for the donator in me, that's not really a donation, but for the investor in me that wants to help out business owners in a way that I feel comfortable doing so. I can read about companies, I can look at their financials, I can look at what they represent, I can look at their history, I can look at the owner's history. These are all things that make sense, and it's not hidden, right? Like the things with VC funding is that it's all hidden. You don't know how to get into the market. You don't know how to invest in the next hot startup that comes out of Silicon Valley. So this is what I like about WeFunder, and it's not, again, Kickstarter. I'm not trying to knock Kickstarter because they do have some fantastic things that come out of it, but I'm not giving you money to give me a product, a t-shirt, and something signed from the creators. No, if I'm going to drop money, having equity in the company sounds really awesome as opposed to the product. Maybe I get both on WeFunder. You get a product and equity, but equity sounds a little bit better to me in the long term. So that's why I have decided to go into this and looking at ways I could be impactful and see my money having a substantial impact on a company. I think is better and more tangible to me than getting the end result, the product that they make. And so a lot of this kind of spurned from a local economy book that I read. It's called Creating Wealth by Gwendolyn Gwendolyn. Oh, I can't think of her last name. And so the book goes into just a lot of different things about society in general. It's more sustainable energy focused, but sustainable economy focused. But it talks a lot about our reliance on the dollar, paper currency, and in the sense that we have a social contract tied to that, and we value that. But really, if we want to have a more resilient economy, we could be focused on things like crypto or timeshare or loyalty rewards, or even bartering as a means to be more resilient and less susceptible to financial crashes. And you can still maintain value for your business and with your customers having different forms of currency. And so this is what gravitated me towards not necessarily WeFunder, but the company I'm going to talk about, Digifox, which is a company I invested in on WeFunder, and I downloaded the app. And there's also tie-in with a YouTuber that I've followed on and off because of cryptocurrency, and that's Nicholas Merton. And he runs Data Dash, which I want to say is like one of the largest, maybe the largest cryptocurrency investing style channels on YouTube. But he created a company called Digifox, and I invested in it because, one, I knew who he was, I knew what he was doing, and I followed him for a while. And I've had an interest in cryptocurrency, but I've always been super hesitant to hop in, which is odd because I'm an early adopter on a lot of different things. As a millennial, I kind of feel like I should have jumped in earlier. I don't know. Anyway, so I invested in Digifox, and it was based on a little bit off of this book and seeing it on WeFunder, and I wrote a piece on it on the Modern Future website, just kind of talking about it. But you can find all types of different things on here. We found a sauce company, Savannah Sauce Company, where I actually ordered some of her bacon ketchup, and my wife and I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. And we were thinking about investing in that company as well. We haven't done it yet, but we definitely tried the product first. So again, I've been reading about her and just following their progress so far. So anyway, that's WeFunder. I want to talk a little bit about that before I jump into these Dyson Air Purifier. Now, look, let me preface this with saying I'm not trying to pump out all of these things for you guys to go check them out. If I like a lot of stuff, I'll recommend it. I have not tried the Dyson Air Purifier yet. This is something that I wanted to get into because my wife have talked about a Dyson Air Purifier for like maybe 3 years or so, because I have immensely bad allergies, like immensely bad. And I'd always talk about my allergies, and my wife's is like, "Hey, you should go get a test." And I would never go get a test. I'm like, "No, I saw my brother do that. I don't want to be all itchy. I know I would be itchy." And so finally, this past year, literally right before COVID hit, it was like January or so, I went to go get a test for what I was allergic to, and found out it's just a ton of stuff. It's like 19 or 17 things in total. Most of it is like outside stuff, grass weeds, different types of trees, dust. Dust is the absolute worst for me, specifically dust mites. Really no food allergies, and then pets, cats specifically, and dogs a little bit as well. So basically what happens is they have this, like, I don't know, it has a bunch of rows on it, and it's like little needles, little itty bitty needles. They're not super sharp, but they put like the protein that's representative of the thing that you're allergic to on the tip. They stab you with it, and then your body reacts. And so I had this process happen, and I was my right arm specifically was itching for like 4 days, and the absolute worst one was dust. And so dust accumulates a lot in anyone's house, but particularly right now, we have this construction going on near our house where some more houses are being built. Well, really, it's townhomes. And we think the dust is kicking up and it's just wreaking havoc on my body. I have been itchy non-stop since this, really, I guess it was around the time of this construction picked up. And so my wife is like, you should look back into this Dyson Air Purifier. So I finally did it this past weekend. I looked on it some more. I read about it. And so I'm going to give it a try, see if I like it. I think we're going to keep it in the bedroom, though I might bring it down every time I'm in my office as well, and have it running in the background. So I will report back to see what I find after, I don't know, a few weeks to see if generally my nose feels better. I don't have to take Claritin inside. I'm not even outside taking Claritin to see if it helps. And I'll again report back and see if this helps. Now, the other thing, it's kind of beneficial is it's supposed to get rid of bacteria and things like that. So we'll see how that goes. But the HEPA filters are fantastic. They're wonderful, wonderful things. And that's pretty much it. So that's a wrap for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast and discussion. Let me know what you think about the Tesla news, Lucid Air. If you could get an EV right now, what range would you want? Do you have range anxiety? I know a lot of people do. If I see I'm below a certain threshold, I'm like, please make it home, please. And I always make it home. I've never gone below like 15 miles. Might have been the lowest that I've ever gone, and I was sweating bullets. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until the next time, folks, I will catch you all later. Peace.